Welcome, marhaba. Nice to have you back to my channel where we discuss everything movies, psychology, and mental illness, and a bunch of other stuff. So today I'll be talking about a fascinating film that really held my interest and is quite intriguing. It's a movie that's released this year, 2021, and it's called Fear of Rain. What I like most about this film is that it tackles mental illness heavily. When I checked the Internet Movie Database, IMDb, the movie was categorized as a horror, a thriller, and a drama. I don't quite believe it's a horror, but I do believe there is a lot of drama into it, and it also can be classified as a thriller. The film revolves around a girl who suffers from schizophrenia, played perfectly by Madison Eisman. Now, Madison Eisman is a relatively unknown actress. Even for me, I've only seen her before in one of the horror films called Annabelle Comes Home. And hi, dear. Hi. And so here she plays the role of a schizophrenic to perfection. I think she did a perfect job. The movie revolves around a young girl named Rain, who is played by Madison Eisman. So the story goes that she's just released from an institution, and then we see her struggling to cope back into her home, into her life with these schizophrenia as she continues to hallucinate. Her mother and father, the mother is played by Catherine Hegel, and the father is played by Harry Connick Jr., also seem to have difficulties in trying to cope and adjust with Rain having schizophrenia. So it starts fairly as just another drama that revolves around mental illness and tackling how people are coping with it, but then it turns into something more. It turns into a thriller, because Rain starts to suspect that their neighbor has kidnapped a young girl. So she starts to observe her neighbor, she starts to watch her, she starts to trespass into her house, and then the police starts involved, her family starts involved, and everyone doesn't believe her because she's a schizophrenic. Is this part of a delusion, or is this real? And then comes in a young boy that she meets in school, and he is such a wonderful boy, and he's the only one who seems to believe her. But she also suspects, is this perfect guy real or a hallucination? So this, in summary, is what the movie is all about. So this angle of suspecting the neighbor, spying on the neighbor, is somewhat similar, and we've seen before, like Rear Window, like Disturbia. But in this case, the twist is Rain has or suffers from schizophrenia, which complicate things. So the film keeps you on edge. You keep guessing. Is what she's suspecting real? Is what she's seeing real? So we live in Rain's shoes, and that's why I enjoy this movie a lot. It's quite intriguing and quite gripping, and of course there's a lot of thrills, twists, and turns. I highly recommend this movie. Performance-wise, I thought all the actors involved are sort of decent. None of them are like mind-blowing. So you don't expect any Oscar, Academy Award performances, but they do a decent job. I think the plot and the script is really what holds these films together and gives it its strength. Now, if I talk about schizophrenia, obviously because of my profession, I see a lot of schizophrenics almost on a daily basis. And what strikes me about this film is that how can you tell if a schizophrenic is lying or if it's a delusion? How can we tell if what a person believes in is fake? Obviously, we as psychiatrists and mental health professionals always dig deep. We gather history and information from the family, from the environment, from people that knows the patient. And then also we examine the patient himself. We look at his mental state, check on different areas in the mental state. For example, the mood, the way he reacts, his behavior, the way he looks, the affect. All these things gives us an indication and helps us to believe or indicate whether this patient is suffering from schizophrenia, delusions, or if what he's telling is the truth. The thing is, deluded people who are ill strongly believe, for them it's a reality, it's true. And that's why when they tell us these things, they tell it with conviction, because they believe in it. And so for a regular listener who listens to these people, he would actually believe them. He would actually assume that what they're telling is true. And so that's why you always need a professional. Of course, some delusions are quite bizarre. For example, we did come across certain patients who believe that they were summoned by aliens, or they were summoned by jinn. And these are a little bit bizarre, so most likely we immediately know that it's not true. But then we get those types who have the persecutory delusions, the paranoid delusions, where they believe that they're being chased, observed by a group of people who wish them harm. I mean, this could happen. I mean, it's something that is sort of realistic to some extent. But then it comes to how are those people are observing them, that they're implanting cameras around the room, that they implanted tracking devices in their phones. And so again, that's when we know that most likely this patient is suffering from a delusion. One particular case that really intrigued me and puzzled me was of that of an individual. He is a young man who believed his mother was replaced by an imposter, and she was stealing his mother's identity because she wants to steal all the family's fortune. And he was telling it in so much conviction that at a certain point, some of my team members, even myself, thought, what if he's telling the truth? What if his mother is replaced by an imposter? But then if you think about it, how would this be possible? How could you make a double of a person that looks like, behaves like, and have all the features of that individual? It's impossible. It's impossible to find an exact double. The funny thing is, and what puzzled us more about this patient, is that he is not responding to antipsychotics. And so even he himself, he said, because we keep changing his medication, and when I told him, we're going to change your medication again because you're not responding to the previous medication, what he said was, doctor, I'm not responding to your medication because what I'm telling you is true. So imagine the way we start to question and start to get puzzled as a team. And that's why I think mental illness, psychiatry, psychology is quite interesting. And that's why I go back to the film. Fear of Rain is one of the great films of this year. It is of a moderate budget. Don't expect a high budget film. Again, performances are decent, but the plot, the script is strong, and the material is interesting. So please go watch it. Until next time, yalla bye.
Your mind is just playing tricks on you.